Hello, it is February 1st. So here's the deal. You made it through 1 month just like I did. We have 11 more months to go. We can do this. We'll read through the whole Bible together. Psalms, Proverbs, Old Testament. We got Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs. So tonight we're going to read Exodus 13:17 through 15:18, Matthew 21 through 23:46, and Psalms 26, 1 through 12, and Proverbs 6:16 through 19. Just a quick recap, and then we'll do the Lord's Prayer. The recap is the Pharaoh let Moses' people go because of the Passover. The firstborn of every child and every animal, firstborn animal, were deceased because of the Passover if they didn't follow by God's rules. And the Pharaoh has just let them go. So this is where things get really interesting with the story. So let's do the Lord's Prayer real quick. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespassers, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Exodus 13:17 through 15:18. It so happened that after Pharaoh released the people, God didn't lead them by the road through the land of the Philistines, which was the shortest route. For, for God thought, if the people encounter war, they'll change their minds and go back to Egypt. So God led the people on the wilderness road, looping around the Red Sea. The Israelites left Egypt in military formation. There were 600,000 plus people that left, plus all their cattle and sheep and lambs and donkeys and everything else. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the Israelites solemnly swear to do it, saying, God will surely hold you accountable. So make sure you bring my bones from where from here with so make sure you bring my bones from here with you. They moved on to the Succoth and then camped in Etham. At the edge of the wilderness, God went ahead of them in pillar of cloud during the day to guide them on the way, and at night a pillar of fire to give them light. Thus they could travel both day and night. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night never left the people. God spoke to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn around and make camp in Pi Haroth, between Migdal and the sea. Camp on the shore of the sea opposite of Baal Zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are lost. They're confused. The wilderness has closed in on them. Then I'll make Pharaoh's heart stubborn again, and he'll chase after them. And I'll use Pharaoh and his army to put my glory on display. Then the Egyptians will realize I am God. And that's what happened. When the king of Egypt was told that the people were gone, he and his servants changed their minds. They said, what have we done, letting Israel, our slave labor, go free? So he had his chariots harnessed up and got his army together. He took 600 of his best chariots, with the rest of the Egyptian chariots and the drivers coming along. God made Pharaoh king of Egypt stubborn, determined to chase the Israelites as they walk out on him without even looking back. The Egyptians gave chase and caught up with them, where they had made camp by the sea. All Pharaoh's horses, drawn chariots, and their riders, all his foot soldiers there at Piharoth, opposite Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up and saw them, Egyptians coming at them. They were totally afraid. They cried out in terror to God. They told Moses, weren't the cemeteries large enough in Egypt so that you had to take us out here in the wilderness to die? What had you done? What have you done to us, taking us out of Egypt? Back in Egypt, didn't we tell you that this would happen? Didn't we tell you? Leave us alone here in Egypt. We're better off as slaves in Egypt than as corpses in the wilderness. Moses spoke to the people. Don't be afraid, stand firm, and watch God do his work of his salvation for you today. Take a good look at the Egyptians today, for you're never going to see them again. God will fight the battle for you, and you keep your mouth shut. God said to Moses, why cry out to me? Speak to the Israelites, order them to get moving. Hold your staff high and stretch your hand out over the sea. Split the sea. The Israelites will walk through the sea on dry ground. Meanwhile, I'll make sure that the Egyptians keep up their stubborn chase. I'll use Pharaoh and his entire army, his chariots and horsemen, to put my glory on display so that the Egyptians will realize that I am God. The angel of God that had been leading the camp of Israel now shifted and got behind them, and the pillar of cloud that had been in front of them shifted to the rear. That cloud was now between the camp of Egypt and the camp of Israel. The cloud enshrouded one camp in darkness and flooded the other with light. The two camps didn't come near each other all night. That is something I did not know about that story. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and God, with a terrific east wind all night long, made the sea go back. He made the sea dry ground. The sea waters split. The Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground, with the waters a wall on right and to the left. The Egyptians came after them in full pursuit. Every horse and chariot and driver of Pharaoh racing in the middle of the sea is now the morning on morning is it was now the morning watch. God looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud on the Egyptian army and threw them into a panic. He clogged the wheels of the chariots. They were stuck in the mud. The Egyptians said, "Run from Israel. God is fighting on their side and against Egypt." God said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, and the waters will come back over the Egyptians, over their chariots, over their horsemen." Moses stretched his hand out over the sea, and the day broke. As the day broke and the Egyptians were running, the sea returned to its place as before. God dumped the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. The waters returned, drowning the chariots and the riders and Pharaoh's army that had chased after Israel into the sea. Not one of them survived. That's intense. But the Israelites walked right through the middle of the sea on dry ground. The waters formed a wall to the right and the left. God delivered Israel that day from the oppression of the Egyptians, and Israel looked at the Egyptian dead, washed up on the shores of the sea, and realized the tremendous power that God brought against the Egyptians. The people were in reverent awe before God and trusted in God and his servant Moses. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to God, giving voice together. "I'm singing out to my God, what a victory. He pitched the horse and rider into the sea. God is my strength. God is my song. Oh yes, God is my salvation. This is the King. This is the King of God I have, and I'm telling the world. This is the God of my father. I'm spreading the news far and wide. God is a fighter, pure God through and through. Pharaoh's chariots and army he dumped into the sea. The elite of his officers he drowned in the Red Sea. Wild ocean waters poured over them. They sank like a rock in the deep blue sea. Your strong right hand, God, shimmers with power. Your strong right hand shatters the enemy. In your mighty majesty, you smash your upstart enemies. You let loose your hot anger and burn them to a crisp as a blast from your nostrils. The waters pile up, tumbling streams dammed up. Wild oceans curled into a swamp. The enemy spoke. I'll pursue, I'll hunt them down, I'll divide up the plunder. I'll glut myself on them. I'll pull out my sword. My fist will send them reeling. You blew with all might, and the sea covered them. They sank like a lead weight in the majestic waters. Who compares with you among gods, O God? Who compares with you in power, in holy majesty, in awesome praise, wonder working God? You stretched out your right hand, and faith swallowed them up. But the people you redeemed, and you led them in merciful love. You guided them under your protection to my holy pasture. When people heard, they were scared. Philistines withered and trembled. Yet, even the head men in Edom were shaken, and the big bosses in Moab, everybody in Canaan panicked and fell faint. Dread and terror sent them reeling. Before your brandishing right arm, they were struck dumb like a stone. Until your people crossed over and entered, O God, until the people you made crossed over and entered. You brought them and planted them on the mountain of your heritage, the place where you live, the place where you made your sanctuary. Master, you established with your own hands. Let God rule forever, for eternity. So the breakdown of Exodus 13:17 through 15:18 says God doesn't lead. Let me fix my phone here. God doesn't lead Israel the easy way. He leads them the right way. At the Red Sea, what looked like dead end became a divine setup. God parts the waters, defeats the enemies completely, and proves this truth. What chases you cannot cross what God protects. This chapter ends in worship. Victory always leads to praise when you recognize who actually did the fighting. Matthew 21, 23 through 46. Then he, Jesus, was back in the temple teaching. The high priests and leaders of the people came up and demanded, "Show us your credentials. What authorized you to teach here?" Jesus responded, "First, let me ask you a question. You answer my question, and I'll answer yours. About the baptism of John, who authorized it, heaven or humans?" They were on the spot and knew it. They pulled back in a huddle and whispered, "I will. If we say heaven, he'll ask us why we didn't believe him. If we say humans, we're up against it with the people because they all hold John up as a prophet." They decided to concede in this round to Jesus. "We don't know," they answered. Jesus said, "Then neither will I answer your question. Tell me what you think of this story. A man had two sons. He went up to the first son and said, 'Son, go out for the day and work in your vineyard.' The son answered, 'I don't want to.' Later on, he thought better of it and went. The father gave the same command to his second son. He answered, 'Sure, glad to,' but he never went. Which of the two sons did what the father asked?" They said, "The first." Jesus said, "Yes, and I'll tell you, the crooks and whores are going to precede you into God's kingdom. John came to you showing you the right road. You turned up your noses at him, but the crooks and whores believed him. Even when you saw their changed lives, you didn't care enough to change and believe him." Here's another story. Listen closely. There was once a man, a wealthy farmer, who planted a vineyard. He fenced it in, dug a wine press, put up a watchtower, then turned it over to the farmhands and went off on a trip. When it was time to harvest the grapes, he sent his servants back to collect the profits. The farmhands grabbed the first servant and beat him up. The next one they murdered. They threw stones at the third one, but got away. The owner tried again, sending more servants. They got the same treatment. The owner was at the end of his rope. He decided to send his son. Surely, he thought, they will respect my son. But when the farmhands saw the son arrive, they rubbed their hands in greed. "This is the heir. Let's kill him and have it all to ourselves." They grabbed him, threw him out, and killed him. Now, when the owner of the vineyard arrived home from his trip, what do you think he will do to the farmhands? "He'll kill them, a rotten bunch, and good riddance," they answered. "Then he'll assign the vineyard to the farmhands, who will hand over the profits when it's time." Jesus said, "Right. And you can read it for yourselves in the Bible, in your Bibles. The stone the mason throws out is now the cornerstone. This is God's work. We rub our eyes, we can hardly believe it. This is the way it is for you, with you. God's kingdom will be taken back from you and handed over to the people who will live out a kingdom life. Whoever stumbles on this stone gets shattered. Whoever the stone falls on gets smashed." When the religious leaders heard this story, they knew it was aimed at them. They waited to arrest Jesus and put him in jail, but intimidated by public opinion, they held back. Most people held him to be the prophet of God. The breakdown of Matthew 21, 23 through 46 says Jesus confronts religious leaders who care more about authority than obedience. They question him, but he exposes their hearts through parables. Knowing God's will means nothing if you refuse to live it. The cornerstone they reject is the very foundation God is building on. Warning is clear: religion without repentance always collapses. Psalms 26, 1 through 12. "Clear my name, God. I've kept you honest in an honest shop. I've thrown in my lot with you, God, and I'm not budging. Examine me, God, from head to toe. Order your battery of tests. Make sure I'm fit inside and out, so I'll never lose sight of your love, but keep in step with you, never missing a beat. I don't hang out with tricksters. I don't pal around with thugs. I hate that pack of gangsters. I don't deal with double dealers. I scrub my hands with the purest soap, then join hands with the others in the great circle, dancing around your altar, God, singing God songs at the top of my lungs, telling God stories. God, I love living with you. Your house glows with glory. When it's time for spring cleaning, don't sweep me out with the quacks and crooks, men with bags and dirty tricks, women with purses stuffed with bribe money. You'll know you know I've been overboard with you. Now be overboard with me. I'm on the level with you, God. I bless you every chance I get." The breakdown of Psalms 26, 1 through 12. David invites God to examine him. No hiding, no pretending. He chooses integrity over influence and worship over wickedness. This Psalms reminds us Walking closely with God requires separation from corruption and devotion to truth. Confidence comes from a clean conscience before God. Proverbs 6:16 through 19. Here are six things that God hates, and one more than he loathes with a passion: eyes that are arrogant, a tongue that lies, hands that murder the innocent, a heart that hatches evil plot, feet that race down a wicked track, a mouth that lies under oath, a troublemaker in the family. So the breakdown of Proverbs 6:16 through 19 is God names what he hates: pride, lies, violence, scheming, eagerness to do evil, false witness, and sowing division. Notice most of these start in the heart before they show up in actions. God isn't just correcting behavior, he's calling for a transformed heart. That's all I have to live by. No pride, no lies, no violence, no scheming, no eagerness to do evil, no false witness, and no sowing division. I try to do that every single day. Do I fail at that? I'm sure there's days I do. Try not to be prideful. It doesn't do good to tell lies because then you got to remember what you lied about. There's no reason for violence, scheming, eagerness to do evil, false witness, sowing division. Don't think I do that. With this time, day, and age, though, it's kind of crazy because one people believes one way and other people believes another way, and it's just kind of crazy. So, just my 2 cents on it. All right, guys. I hope you have a fabulous evening. It's kind of a short one tonight. I appreciate you, and if no one told you, I love you. Have a better than good night, and I will see you tomorrow.